On the morning of Good Friday in 1300 AD, Italian writer Dante Alighieri finds himself lost in a dark and twisted wood. There, he's approached by the long-dead Roman poet Virgil, who offers to guide him somewhere many men have gone, and from where no men have returned. Together, they arrive at the gates of hell, where an inscription looms overhead, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." What follows is a descent through the 9 circles of hell, each more depraved and grotesque than the last. This vision is immortalized as the Divine Comedy, the harrowing exploration of torment, sin, and the limits of human endurance. The poem describes the deepest and darkest place in hell as a frozen lake, denied of all the love of God and the light and warmth of his Son. When I look at Gustave Doré's wood-carving depictions, I get a sense of familiarity. I feel like I've seen this place somewhere, like I've somehow already endured it. At times I wonder, how far did Dante Alighieri have to descend into the madness of his own? No matter how vivid the vision or how deep into his own personal horrors he journeyed, there was one thing Dante never experienced. He never had to watch The Fighter and the Kid 3D.
What are we doing? Because I am starving.
Are you wearing a muzzle?
I don't know.
Take it one weapon! Get!
We're protectors. Protectors.
Holy shit.
If you're not familiar, Bryan Callen, actor, comedian, and alleged serial sexual abuser,
I categorically and absolutely deny all the allegations against me.
along with his best friend and podcast co-host, former UFC fighter Brendan Schaub, made their own attempt at a TV show back in 2016. You see, after Brendan Schaub suffered a string of losses and more than likely permanent brain damage, Joe Rogan and Bryan Callen held an intervention, convincing him he was talented enough to go into comedy.
You have an option that other guys do not have, and that option is you're a fucking funny dude. You're good looking, like you don't have a scratch on your face, man. You could do a lot of shit.
It started with the Fighter and the Kid live experience, which from what I understand was basically a crossover of a live podcast and a stand-up show that featured both Bryan and Brendan, with Brendan pursuing stand-up on his own.
I'm making Brendan do stand-up with our live shows. I make him get up there. Dude, in front of 900 people. He's never done it. 900 people. I go out there and do 10 minutes. Now think about that, 900 people.
But the dark hand of comedy overlord Joseph Rogan pushed Brendan too far in the land of entertainment.
No PT belt, no access, buddy.
There was an era of the internet where if you had $40 and a dream, you'd get your friends together and make a web series. In some instances, creators would see moderate success, but in rare cases, it could even result in mainstream attention or even flat-out stardom. Brendan and Bryan's web series took the form of The Fighter and the Kid 3D, which premiered as part of a VIP package. It included access to the web series, which was about 12 episodes, bundled with a t-shirt and Bryan's unreleased comedy special for about $30. Now, of course, there's no circumstance where I would actually pay for this, except I did. I totally did. I paid for it, and I'm extremely embarrassed about that. I've talked about how I used to be a fan of the show a long time ago. We don't need to talk about that.
What the hell, man? I'm disappointed in you.
Now, to clarify, The Fighter and the Kid 3D is indeed not in 3D. Now, as far as why 3D is appended to the title, I really can't say for certain. I can only assume Brendan misunderstood and just thought 3D meant a high-value, momentous production and tacked it onto the title for marketing. The first and thankfully only season of the show has now been available for about a decade. And even though I'll shamefully admit that I was a fan of the podcast at the time and purchased it, I was actually unable to finish the show. It's just that bad.
He's got high feet, because he's got high hopes.
But given my status as Bryan Callen's #1 op, I've decided to do my best to scour my old email inbox with over 10 years of unopened messages for my login info and watch the show in its entirety. And if I'm going to suffer through it, you might as well too. The season is comprised of 12 episodes and an additional outtakes video, each averaging around 12 minutes. And from the Rocky-influenced intro to the homoerotic goofs and Brendan's red face routine, it's a lowbrow parody that falls flat every time. Even the first episode, Naked and Scared, is a play on the reality series Naked and Afraid. And after a rewatch, I'll admit it wasn't as bad as I remembered. It was so much worse. So this is a little editor's note. I have a little strep going on, so my voice doesn't sound right. It sounds a lot deeper, and frankly, I prefer it this way. But I realized while I was editing that I called it Naked and Scared, and the title from the video said something else, and I was a little confused. And then I looked at the title on the website for the episode, and that's something different than from what they have in the video. So to be honest with you, if they can't even get their fucking title right, I'm not going to try to get it right either. Anyway, back to the video. The whole concept of the episode is exactly what you'd think. Brendan and Bryan have to survive in the wilderness in the nude. It leans heavily on the typical Bryan Callen alpha male humor, or talking about big cats and doing that masculine voice he does.
I think we're being followed by a jaguar.
A what?
A jaguar. 85 pounds, female. She's carrying. Means she'll be hungry. Let's move.
Brendan just isn't funny at all. There's no laughs to be had from him, even at his expense.
The fuck are you looking at?
If you're not familiar with the literary device Chekhov's gun, it's the narrative principle that seemingly irrelevant details of a story could, or rather should, be necessary.
Excuse me, what are you guys doing here in the middle of the street?
Well, I'm putting these chickens in crates and stacking them right here. Jim's job is to make sure we always have plenty of watermelon.
That's weird.
Yeah, you gotta wonder if this is gonna pay off later on.
The namesake example being if a gun appears in a story, it necessitates it being used later at some point.
All right, men, our work here is done.
Naked and Scared introduces a similar narrative device, Callen's asshole. Much like Chekhov's gun necessitates the relevance of a detail, Callen's asshole necessitates that if Bryan Callen's bare ass appears on screen, something will inevitably be shoved up it. Most of the sketch is just what you'd expect, underdeveloped bits about how they're just existing naked outside.
We don't eat soon. We're not gonna make it.
Bryan is eye level with Brendan's dong not once but twice, as if just pure repetition makes something funny. By the time the episode ends, the whole concept is exhausted and the series already appears to be at rock bottom. But we march forward, shovel in hand, to see how deep this thing can go. Episode 2, Brendan's Replacement, asks the question, what happens to your loved ones when you die? Not financially, but emotionally and physically. So Bryan and Brendan spend roughly 10 minutes trying to find men to cuck them. That's literally the basis for the episode.
But let's say, heaven forbid, something was to happen to Bryan Callen.
Right.
There's no replacing Bryan Callen.
That's correct.
Amanda, your wife, and your kids would be heartbroken.
The episode ends as the two wrap up an episode of their podcast, and Bryan comments that Brendan's wife has a lot of guys knocking on the back door, or something to that effect.
I will say that your girl is a beauty, and there will be many men knocking down that door. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it just can't be anyone, though, man.
Over the years, Brendan has faced multiple accusations of infidelity.
I had a guy that was like, why don't you walk me to my truck, this married guy, where I'm like, and we know him, I'm not going to say who it is. Maybe now that you watch it.
On New Year's Eve, while he was having dinner with his family, he was like, what are you doing tonight?
I'm just saying, is that nice?
Generally, when making an attempt to avoid accountability, the common strategy is deny and deflect. But Brendan faced the accusations head on, and yet indirectly at the same time, by denying and confirming.
I had fake tits then, they were shiny, you liked them, you DM'd me, you said sorry, fuck it, right?
I'm with you.
Okay.
I own that, yeah.
Good.
And as a dude, I'm getting a lot of shit about this. I'm married with kids. I said, it's not good.
He's playing 4D checkers here. There's also rumors that Joanna, Brendan's wife, has been cheating on him for years with the person codenamed the florist. And I know I'm wading into some dangerous territory here. I'm pretty sure Brendan has sued somebody over talking about this, so I'm just gonna just say neither of them is cheating, okay? I have a working theory that I've yet to be seen proposed. The Schaub family simply practice ethical non-monogamy, and Brendan Schaub is literally a cuck.
Yo, I forgot to tell y'all, there was a throuple at my show in Tampa.
What's a throuple?
That's a 3-person love triangle.
3-person
like they're in a relationship.
Three-way.
Yeah.
Like a couple,
They
but
call it throuple though?
Yeah. So you take off the seat.
No,
I would just call that an open relationship. So
Open
it's one
relationship?
person.
No,
and two people?
they all like each other.
It was one dude and
Like,
2 chicks.
Yes.
Hell yeah.
Have you ever seen it the other way?
Oh yeah.
2 dudes, 1 chick?
Yes.
I think that's a pansexual, right?
No.
Oh yeah.
You've seen it that
Yeah, I
way?
have a friend who does that.
Really?
Yep.
They say every accusation is a confession, and hey, I'm not one to kink shame. It just turns out that Brendan's thing is sitting in a leather chair in front of a wall that is a shrine to his greatest successes and failures while he admires the florist, I don't know, arranging flowers. I don't know what, there's got to be a metaphor there. I don't know.
Yeah.
And you need to get your cuck ass.
He's like, he goes, you're not allowed in my truck though because you're a cock, and my truck won't start. My truck won't start because you're a cock.
Oh, then my car that I got from the factory at Dodge is 1.6 seconds, you cuck. Oh, what happens to this cuck? I'm like, oh, he's laughing all the way to the bank though.
I mean, listen, a lot of black dudes get asked for that cuck holding shit.
Is that true?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I was recording this, I was actually getting sick, so I didn't do the best job. I actually overlooked the whole ending to this episode, which is that Brian murders Brendan. Then he also murders his own wife so he can bang Brendan's girl. That's it. It's a pretty shitty episode. I give it like 1 DM to a random girl on tour out of 10. Episode 3, Therapy, is the best display of comedic writing for the show. It's really solid. Brian pronounces tits in a way that's so funny he has to do it again for emphasis.
And remember one thing, kids, I like tilts. I said tilts.
Are you 13?
Again, because repetition equals funny.
Dicky, 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 dick, dick, dick. He's a dicky, dicky, dick, dicky, dick, dick, dick.
Brian, he's so quirky how he talks, trying to hang on to his youth with his obviously dyed beard. The whole premise of the sketch is Brendan and Brian being forced to go through some sort of corporate mandated therapy session. They didn't make any attempt to explain why, other than they signed a contract, so they have to do it.
And he's,
You're really searching for this, aren't you?
It is a long, arduous 16 minutes of rambling. I'm sure it was funny for everyone involved, but for viewers, there's not much going on. This is actually where I gave up watching in 2016, and here I am 10 years later, punishing myself for the sin of paying for this. I know they had to have put some sort of attempt into writing the show, but at times I'm left wondering if there was any actual script or just more of a general guideline suggesting dialogue.
That's all improv. The therapy is all improv.
All improv.
We went in with no script.
All right, now look at that tortoise. Look at it. Say something.
I'm not that old.
Say something to that ancient tortoise.
Fuck you.
Clever. Good one. At least Christian is entertained. Now let's take a look at some of the other comments. Blair has watched this over 20 times. That's 5.5 hours of a single sketch. So yeah, the episode just drags on way too long, and the last 10 minutes, Brian winds up in the hospital and thinks he's Jesus Christ.
What are we doing? Because I am starving.
It makes about as much sense as it sounds, and they lean on Brian saying tits a funny way one last time.
I like tilts.
Again, repetition. Episode 4, The Janitor, is a trailer for Brendan and Brian's horror movie and an interview from a press junket. There's a cameo from the Hungry Wolf himself in the form of a still image.
They gave a hungry wolf a chance at showing what I can do.
I wish I could have been a fly on the wall in the room when they were writing this and someone had the bright idea of just showing Tony Hinchcliffe on screen randomly for laughs.
Nailed it.
In the right context, I'm not opposed to it, but it really doesn't serve any purpose here. And that's the underlying issue with most of the Fighter and the Kid 3D's experience. It's hard to explain without going through every single detail of the show and even watching it yourself. But the story elements of the Fighter and the Kid 3D, they have context, but they somehow completely lack purpose. It's a wonder how anyone was ever convinced to finance this. If you're assuming that Brendan and Bryan paid for this out of their own pockets, you'd be wrong.
Somebody finance this film.
Yes.
Friends, family?
At the time, the Fighter and the Kid was under contract with Fox Sports, and somehow they convinced Fox to produce the show.
Just, we can't really go into, I don't think the source of who financed it yet.
Yourself?
No.
Which, all things considered, is kind of surprising. You don't hear Brendan brag about how he had a show produced by the same corporation that owns The Simpsons and Family Guy.
You know, again, we can't
really discuss that information.
No, only because, you know, the legal issues and stuff to it.
Based on the title and thumbnail alone, I can take a few guesses at what we're going to get into this episode. There's going to be Kung Fu, and someone, specifically Brendan, is going to do the voice.
Mr. Schaub, after you numb your lip, you need many, many stitches.
Luckily, we're only in for 6 minutes on this one. Episode 5 revolves around, predictably, Bryan being a tough guy, but this time in a Chinese restaurant. The antagonist, Madam Lao, has kidnapped his daughter, and the guys have to get her back. Again, little context, but that's not necessary given the episode only serves as an excuse to have a shitty choreographed fight scene that lasts the majority of the episode, which ends in a cliffhanger. Yeah, this was never continued. Episode 6, The Audition. It's a 21-minute tribute to Brendan's lack of acting skills, which why you would put your fans through that, I really don't know. The premise is that Brendan has an audition coming up and is just a terrible actor, so he needs Bryan to coach him so he can land a role. It's a bit confusing, as is every fucking episode of this show. Are they making a sketch because they're aware Brendan is a terrible actor? And if so, why would they even make a sketch show in the first place?
We're protectors. Protectors.
It's crazy that at one point Brendan actually thought he had a future as an actor. I mean, there were times he talked as if he was going to be the next fucking Batman.
You know, when I've had little roles and have to work with an acting coach, and she's worked with everybody, The Rock and Vin Diesel, and we get done, I'd shoot this audition for her, and she goes, you can do this. And I go, yeah, no, I think I can do it.
I've said that to
and
her.
I go, and I go, yeah, thank you.
I said it to you.
I said, yeah, thank you. And she goes, no, you're going to be the next Rock. I went, yeah, let's take it easy. Let's take it down. But then when I walk it out, I'm like, maybe this bitch is right.
Of course.
I remember when you were a puppy. You were a crazy dog. Everyone thought you were batshit crazy.
Brendan is giving it his all in this episode, and it just drags on and on and on, and it's just so bad.
You and me, we're protectors.
Take your time. Take your time.
We're protectors.
It's the hardest thing you've ever done in your life. It's right here. It's the hardest thing you've ever done in your life.
By the time the episode ended, I looked at the clock, and it was nearly 2 a.m, which, around the halfway mark of the show, I'm realizing something is changing. Nothing related to the show itself, that remains on its same steady decline. The change is in me. I can feel it in the quiet moments while I stare at my reflection in the never-ending blackness of my computer monitor at the end of each video. It's the feeling driving me to abandon my attempt to finish it. A droning uncertainty of what I'm witnessing. Is it comedy? Is it horror? Is it a sketch show within a podcast within a sketch show? But in spite of that uncertainty, I still somehow know what's coming next. The same tired, lifeless jokes stretched thin across the content padded into a 10-minute YouTube video and shoved behind a paywall. Just like Dante's descent into those circles of hell, I descend episode after episode over and over. And yet, I keep watching. Episode 7 is basically Bryan having some sort of fever dream that he landed the lead role on a sitcom.
If I could be on a sitcom every day for the rest of my life, I'd give up this and everything else.
It keeps doing this Groundhog Day type thing where every day repeats itself. Again, repetition is the theme, so we get to hear the same shit yourself joke multiple times. When a show or movie does the Groundhog Day type thing, where every day is repeating itself, what makes it interesting are the reactions of the person living the same day over and over again.
Private Cage, J Squad.
Isn't that an officer's uniform?
Those sure ain't officer cufflinks. Private Cage, J Squad.
Isn't that an officer's uniform?
Sure ain't officer cufflinks. Squad, this here's Private Cage. And you must be J Squad.
So the shit yourself joke is just as bad the second time, and Bryan's reaction is exactly the same.
Ta-da! Yes, Alex! I got some bad news, and I shit myself. Happy? Ta-da! Yes, Alex! I got some bad news, and I shit myself. Happy?
But even considering how bad this episode is, this may be the best episode of the season with the time fuckery gimmick. It's like this David Lynchian Black Mirror, but just very shittily done.
You're in or ass. There is no need to repeat what the doctor said. We all know what the doctor said. In or ass tensed up, forcing that pressurized bowel level to give way, in turn causing your body to uncontrollably shit itself. Ta-da! Yes, Alex! I got some bad news, and I shit myself. Happy?
So now we're in the home stretch, and it's borderline torture. There's no novelty to the show or a so bad it's good type of charm. It's just bad. I actually am holding a little bit of resentment toward myself for continuing to watch this. To be honest, I did have to split this up over 2 nights, and when I woke up today, I was a little bit irritable with myself, and I'm fairly certain it's just because I wasted the previous night watching this show. So here it is, episode 8, Just Say No. I'm gonna hit the play button now and just cry to myself for the next 13 minutes.
Excuse me, is that cocaine you're putting up your nose?
Yeah, what's it look like?
Has anybody told you guys that doing drugs is a dead end that leads to heartache and disappointment?
Fuck off, Grandpa.
That's the thing about words. They only go
In a way, I think episode 8 may have actually been some sort of therapeutic outlet for Brendan given his history with drug abuse and his obvious homoerotic tendencies.
Adderall can cause damage to the heart and cardiovascular
when used for prolonged
period
periods.
of time.
If you're just doing it on the weekends, you're
That's when
good. All that being said, I want to try it. So you can do more pills.
Today you just told me that you had this whole addiction with Adderall.
I've told you before.
No, but I know.
During the episode, Brendan strips down to his underwear and gives another man a lap dance. Something that honestly has just left me shaken to the core. I'll never be the same after watching it. In the actual episode, it's not blurred out, it's uncensored, but I'm gonna spare anyone from having to see that here.
There we go.
Yeah.
Blow up a balloon. Whoa, yeah. Holy shit.
I don't want to do this anymore.
I'm feeling it.
Episode 9 may be the high point of the show, and I attribute that only to the appearance of Will Sasso. He's just a funny, wholesome guy, and it makes no sense why he associated with Brendan and Bryan for so long.
Oh, shit's on phone.
Ah, cool, another shit joke. The sketch is essentially both Bryan and Brendan being bullied by Will Sasso in a workplace setting, and Will's performance is great. I really just can't express enough how he made this so much more watchable than it ever should have been.
Hey, going to the company barbecue?
I don't know anything about it.
I'm throwing it.
Will, you don't work here.
Hey, did you get some of them deviled eggs this morning?
You ate them all.
Just the yolks. Can't eat the whites, they make me fart. You want to hear a secret? I ate the whites too.
In fact, I'll go as far as to say the only part during this whole series that I actually did have any sort of a laugh was thanks to Sasso's performance.
Oh, not a stone!
Okay, so Fabulous, there's not much to say about this. It's essentially a parody of an 80s hair metal video. There's nothing entertaining about it. It also has this weird documentary thing in the middle where Brendan and Bryan are dressed like animals. No context. It doesn't fit into the episode. It should have been cut entirely. This whole episode, as a matter of fact, shouldn't have been in there. My guess is Bryan just really wanted to show off his singing abilities, but they realized he sucks and dubbed it over. Just like Brendan thought that he could be a legitimate actor, Bryan has expressed that he could be a singer multiple times.
Oh, at my party with Rogan, we're talking about that time when you really thought you could sing. Like Bryan he did like the comedy jam thing, where comedians sing.
Oh yeah, goddamn comedy jam.
Bryan came back and goes, I mean, if I wanted to, I could be a singer.
Dude.
Speaking to production and only production, the Apache is probably the best episode of the series. But between the homophobia, racial slur, and Brendan doing this red face thing, kind of a combination of racism and gaysism, it's problematic to say the least. I don't really want to dig into the details of the homophobia displayed in the video. It's really more related to the theory that, when two hetero men joke around and do homoerotic gags, things they would never do with a gay person is a demonstration of homophobic behavior. But then again, it's not something I'm an expert on, so, I don't know. To be honest, I really wouldn't even go as far as to say that the episode is explicitly offensive. It's just lazy writing and dated jokes that fall back on a possibly offensive concept. The Apache is basically a parody of Brokeback Mountain, which was beyond played out by the time this was released. And it's got this paradoxical feeling that Bryan and Brendan are two edgelords somehow trying too hard and not hard enough at the same time.
You are a man.
You are man.
You are a man.
You are a handsome man.
Jesus Christ, I need this to end. And to be honest, the best part of this episode is the realization that we're so close to being done. I'm just going to sum this episode up and say that a much younger appearing version of crusty old Bryan Callen leans into his rapey persona on this one, and it leaves little room for doubt of any possible innocence regarding his accusations. All the humor really leans into that whole boomer humor of women, am I right? And I'm not sure if there's a better way to put it, but that boomer humor is really the core of the show. It's shit jokes and fuck yous and saying tits in a funny way, and close-ups of Bryan Callen's ass crack spread open just for the sake of laughs. And yeah, that also was not censored in the main video. But that humor is really what you should expect from this show. It's half written by a guy who is 50 years old and calls himself the Kid, and another guy who is just the brilliant mind behind Gringo Papi.
I married a Mexican, y'all. I married a Mexican.
And that's it. 12 episodes. We're done. Congratulations. In literature and film, and even in culture itself, there's this mythic archetype of the forbidden place. It's a boundary marked by fear and superstition that only the brave or foolish would dare to go. But whether inspired by irrational fear, folklore, or pure instinct and preservation of life, the concept of boundaries not meant to be passed exists for a reason. And the world of stand-up specials is no different. But in the instance of The Fighter and the Kid 3D, I didn't just watch another half-baked special put together for next to nothing and released to YouTube. It's something worse. Something that should never have existed. A 2-hour and 37-minute long monument to self-worship from two grinning acolytes, unknowingly tolling the bell to signal the end of comedy as an art, and with each passing second, laughter recedes further from this plane of existence. If this were on a VHS tape, I'd get a phone call telling me I'd die 7 days from now. I can only take solace knowing that it's over and I'll never have to experience anything like that again.